Hey friends, welcome back to Marriage Redesigned. In today's session, we are actually going to be talking about how you can navigate the Thanksgiving holidays with peace, purpose, and pain, even if you are normally in high conflict. So the holidays can actually bring out the best in us or the worst in us, and I'm sure you know that, especially when we're dealing with stress. So, when you are a high conflict couple, Thanksgiving can actually feel like you're walking into a room that is filled with emotional triggers, expectations, family dynamics, pressure. We got to pretend like everything is okay, all the above, right? But here's the truth, you don't have to dread Thanksgiving. You can actually navigate it very well if you have a plan. So, successful couples actually do this. They don't magically just get along during the holidays. They actually prepare, they communicate with one another, and they enter the day with clarity. They enter clarity about one another, about their boundaries, and about what truly matters to them. So, this is going to help you with your personal Thanksgiving go to plan so you can actually walk through this holiday very grounded, united, and ready to face it. So, let's dive in. You've got your downloadables. I hope you printed them out. Stay the track with me, and I hope you're going through this together. That's the whole point. So, why is it important for you, first off, to actually have a plan? Well, high conflict couples often fall into one of two patterns during the holidays. The first one is avoidance. This is where you're hoping that conflicts won't even happen. You're kind of burying your head in the sand like the ostrich. Or number two, you explode. You're the explosion person, right? You react when conflict does happen. Or maybe you're the couple that says, we do both. Well, the truth is, neither works. So, without a plan, you are going to experience triggers that feel more intense, conversations that go sideways, expectations that clash against one another. Small annoyances are going to escalate through the ceiling. Alcohol or stress is going to lower your regulation, and family dynamics is going to increase pressure. But if you do have a plan, you're going to enter into your Thanksgiving holiday with unity. You know what to avoid. You know how to regulate. You agree on boundaries beforehand. You know how to support one another. You have a repair strategy in place and ready to go should you need it. You see, clarity reduces conflict. Preparation actually reduces pressure. An agreement, well, it reduces reactivity. So this is your grounding anchor. All right. This is why it matters for you to have a plan. So let's create your Thanksgiving go to plan. I'm going to share with you 6 components of your plan. And this is a plan that every high conflict couple needs if you're going to succeed during the Thanksgiving holiday. So the first one is you need to identify your triggers and you need to be able to identify your spouse's triggers. So before Thanksgiving Day, you need to sit down and you need to ask the following questions. And you need to ask this to one another. You need to have this conversation, okay? First, what typically triggers me during family gatherings? You need to share that with one another. You also need to talk about what comments or topics usually set you off, okay? Who tends to create tension for you? All right. And what part of the holiday feels most overwhelming? Share this with one another. Okay. Talk about it. This is important. Then come back and ask one another, how can I support you when you feel triggered? What helps you feel safe or grounded in the moment? And what signals can I give you if I need a break? Or what can you give me as a signal if you need a break? It's important for you to know these before you go into the holiday. Then you need to agree on these two things: a signal or a phrase that communicates, I'm overwhelmed. Okay. Now that can be like maybe a light touch on the arm signifying, hey, look, I'm overwhelmed. I need a moment. It can be a pre-chosen phrase like something like, I'm going to go get some fresh air. That equates to, I need to go regulate myself, right? Or it can just be like, your phrase or word, we call it an exit word or an exit phrase, okay, that signifies you need to step outside, go for a walk, step away for a moment, whatever that is. Taco, I'm starving, whatever the phrase is for you. But y'all agree upon those two things, because when you do, it's going to help you to understand, okay, my spouse is a little dysregulated right now, maybe a little overwhelmed, and they need to get away. They need to re-regulate. I can cover for them. Okay, this is important. So agree on that from the get-go. This is helping to identify your triggers and kind of what you can agree upon to help with those triggers. Okay, now here's your second thing that you need to look to in your plan, your second component. All right, decide what conversations are going to be a no-go and what are okay. In other words, what's on and off limits for you. Thanksgiving is not the time to have conversations that are rehashing unresolved issues with one another. It's not the time. Nor is it time to discuss finances or air family disagreements. It can be hard to even talk about politics right now with everybody being dysregulated about politics, okay? So that might be an off limit for you. Also, maybe debate on extended family drama might be a no-go, or bringing up emotionally charged topics you haven't processed yet. So what is it for you, right? Those should be off the limits, because Thanksgiving is not the time to talk about any of those, okay? So together, sit down and decide what topics are off limits and what topics are neutral and safe. Now, some examples of this could be, some things that are safe are food, memories, hobbies, sports, updates, things like that. Off limits could be parenting conflicts, money, unresolved issues, past arguments, decisive topics, things of that nature. Okay? Also decide what topics are off limits with other people. Now that's all between you, what we just discussed, but what's off limits with the family, with the in-laws, with the distant cousins, what have you? What's off limits, okay? That could be your relationship issues, parenting decisions, career stress, personal insecurities, complaints about one another, anything that embarrasses or undermines each other. This creates a united front and protects your marriage when you can figure this out ahead of time. All right, here's your third thing. Set boundaries about family and the environment. So the two of you need to sit down and clarify, how long will your family stay with you, or how long will you stay with your family? What is the arrival and departure plan? Who do you want to avoid being stuck in long conversations with? We all have someone, right? What topics or people to disengage from? How you redirect conversations when you need to. Those need to be talked out. You also need to create what's called a gracious exit script. Okay, this is where you come up with a few phrases that you both agree on that kind of gets you away from those things. Things like, excuse me, we're going to go check on something in the kitchen. We'll be right back. Or we're going to step outside to take a quick break. We'll be back in a minute. Or we need to take and make a quick phone call with someone, so we'll be right back. Those are just a few examples. And these can protect your peace without stirring up any kind of drama. So talk about what those are. Fourth component, decide on alcohol limits. individually and as a couple. This is important because alcohol lowers inhibitions, it reduces emotional regulation, and it magnifies conflict. So this is important for you to agree on things like a drink limit. Maybe for you, it's the limit one or two or no alcohol at all, right? My husband and I have an agreement, 2 drinks. That's it, okay? We also have an agreement that we will check in with one another before there's another drink. This is a rule, right? So if we're at a party for 5 hours and he's had 2 drinks and he would like another, he doesn't have to ask my permission. Okay, I'm not his mom, but he does this out of love and respect. And that's what you're doing here. Okay, do you mind if I have another drink? This can reduce lots of conflict. Okay. Also, you should talk about no alcohol if one partner is already dysregulated, because that can just add to it. And then supporting each other in the environment when it becomes triggering. Remember, lower alcohol intake equals higher clarity, which equals fewer arguments, which is exactly what you're trying to accomplish during the holiday season. Here's your fifth component. Use conflict resolution tools in real time. These are great tools and they do work if you utilize them. So talk about them and then put them to practice prior to Thanksgiving so you've done a dry run. So Thanksgiving is not the moment, first off, to win the argument, to win the disagreement. It's not the time. It's the moment to preserve peace and return to it very quickly if conflict does arise. So, how can you do that? By using your go to tools. Now, your first tool is what's called the pause. Now, that's when you feel tension rising. You use this mental pause. You kind of step back, you breathe in through your nose, and as you're exhaling through your mouth, you drop your shoulders. You slow yourself down, and then you don't respond instantly. You actually give yourself 10 seconds because that can truly save an entire evening. So you count backwards from 10 to 1 before you step into a conversation. Okay? Second tool is to assume good intent. Now, this means before reacting, or should I say before responding, because we don't want to react because that makes you lose control. Before you respond, you want to remind yourself, my spouse is not my enemy. They may be overwhelmed too, and we are on the same team. Okay? Assume the good intent. Tool number 3, use I statements. So instead of saying things like, you are embarrassing me, don't do that. Stop doing that, okay? Try this instead. I'm feeling overwhelmed right now and I need a moment, so I'm going to step out, okay? Because guess what? You don't need to take on your spouse's junk, okay? Don't take on each other's junk. Okay. If somebody's deciding that they're going to get out of hand, which I hope and pray you don't, that's on you. All right. You're a big boy. You're a big girl. That's on you. But choose to do this plan so that does not happen. But use I statements. Okay. I am uncomfortable right now. So I'm going to step out because I need a moment. Right. Talk about situations at hand, not pointing and saying you statements. That does nothing but cause defensiveness. Tool number 4, the gentle redirection. This is where when something, if conflict starts to arise, you look at the other and you say, look, we're not going to talk about this right now. It's not the time or place. We'll talk about this later privately. Agree to put it on pause. And that's the statement that says we're pausing it till later. You're not shoving it under the rug. You're going to revisit it 24 hours later, but you do it at a time where you both are regulated and you're not in a crowd of people. That is the healthy way to do it. You can even also say, look, I'm not comfortable going into that right now. We'll talk about it later. Okay? So this is a good tool to use. Tool number 5, repair quickly. Let's say the conflict did happen. If something does go sideways, right? Then first acknowledge it. Okay, well, we ended up there. Acknowledge it, call it out, then apologize briefly in the moment, and then move forward. Okay, this is in real time. If you're in Thanksgiving Day and conflict does arise, acknowledge the conflict, apologize briefly, and move forward. Don't let it ruin your day. Stop that. There's no reason for it to happen that way. So you can actually, in the moment, say, hey, that didn't come out the right way. I am truly sorry. Can we do a reset? And we can talk about it later if you'd like, but can we do a reset right now? Reset and get back into Thanksgiving. Okay. All right. Here is the next thing that I'd really like for you to implement because this can help you tremendously. And it's called a private connection ritual for Thanksgiving Day. Now, this keeps you united instead of reactive. So here's some ideas for you, okay, to have that private connection for the day. Maybe it that you pray together before you leave the house. Maybe you do a 2-minute grounding exercise in the car before you get out and go see your family or before they come to see you, right? Before you get out in the house with everybody, do it privately in your bedroom. Maybe you need to, before in the morning and later that evening, share one thing that you appreciate about one another. Maybe for you, debrief privately halfway through the day. That's a good one, right? Connect, debrief. How's it going? Things are going pretty well. Or maybe they're getting a little off kilter. Let's regroup and reset, right? And then end the day with gratitude. Hey, what do you think went well today? These small rituals anchor your relationship in peace and unity. Utilize them. So, I want to also give you right now in this teaching some things to avoid on Thanksgiving because I think we need a list and it can be very beneficial if you both agree that this is what you're going to avoid on Thanksgiving and even during the holiday while your family's with you or you are with family. Now, the first one, bringing up unresolved issues. Not the time. Let it go. We are not going to use sarcasm. We're not going to jab or have inside jokes at each other's expense. Those are off limits. No discussing your marriage with other people. No trying to solve problems in front of family. We're not going to let alcohol lead the holidays. We're not going to go oversharing with others or venting to others about your spouse or competing and comparing with others. And we're going to not stay in a room when a situation becomes heated. We're going to back out, take a pause, re-regulate, and then come back in. Okay? Your number one goal during this Thanksgiving holiday is to protect your peace, your connection, and to also protect one another. Okay? So let me just end with this. You don't want to wing it this holiday. Okay? Don't wing it. Don't be that couple. High conflict couples don't thrive by accident. They thrive because they prepare, because they respect one another's limits, and because they choose to handle triggers with grace instead of reactivity. Your Thanksgiving go-to plan is more than just a strategy. It's actually an act of unity. It's an act of love and respect. And it's a commitment that says, you know what? We're doing this together and we're on the same team. So just know you can navigate the holiday well. You can walk in it being very grounded, connected, and prepared. And you can leave the day feeling proud of how you've handled it together. All right? You've got this. You can do it. Make sure that you also download the Thanksgiving planning script. I've given you some scripts because I don't want you to just try to fly by the seat of your pants. So I've given you some words to use, okay? You've got some great scripts that you can download. You also have a conflict prevention checklist that is going to be extremely beneficial, along with your one-page holiday conflict game plan. Use this as you are sitting down together, working all of this out together. You even have a checklist of what to do before the gathering. It's like a family gathering guide, right? It's a survival guide, and it gives you before, during, and after, all right? These things can help you tremendously, okay? And as a bonus, I put in there for you a holiday boundary script guide that you can use with some of your extended family, because sometimes family conversations can get out of hand sometimes, and this can help you. And then the last thing is this: just in case triggers do happen, you've got a trigger recovery plan mini sheet. It will help you to walk through some of these things. So go through it all. These are great tools. If you utilize them, they work. All right? They really, really do. So I pray that you have a blessed Thanksgiving holiday, and I can't wait to meet with you again. Be blessed.